Namaskar, Adab, Sat Sri Akal. A very warm welcome, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Hope you're doing well, you're staying safe and healthy, and you're taking all the necessary precautions around this COVID. जितना रोज हम इसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं या सुन रहे हैं उतना ज़्यादा ये और ज़्यादा हमें टेंशन देता है बट आज के इस सेशन में टेंशन हो या फियर हो इसके बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे ज़्यादा बात करेंगे क्योंकि वी रियली वांट टू गेट रिड ऑफ दिस फियर फैक्टर दैट things like COVID, situations like personal and professional issues create in our lives. तो उसके बारे में आज बात करेंगे and last session I got a lot of comments, lot of people who pinged, and I can already see the same set of people who really wanted these sessions to be like a series are already here. So hello RS, hello Abhay, hello Simi Ramanji, hello Ashnur ji, welcome everyone. I know it will thoda sa odd time hai for the regular shows that I do, but this is I think the most important time and the most important time for the topic as well. So without wasting any more time, I'm going to get both the guests. Really interesting discussion happened last time. Hello Vijay ji, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है बहुत दिनों बाद. Dr. Vijay Tiwari has also joined, and I would love your everyone, including Dr. Tiwari, if you can, to join and share your views around this topic as well. So, like I said, before I get the guests, last time बहुत सारे questions, बहुत सारे issues थे जिनके बारे में discussion हुआ था. We did discuss about the app itself, Relaxx app. Okay, my camera is not clear. I don't know. Something is going on. I can already see Teresa. Something is definitely going on. I don't know why it's zooming in and out. Maybe there's somebody else standing behind me or whatever. But it is zooming in and out. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It's not about me. It's not about the conversation that I'm gonna make. It's all about the guests. So without wasting any more time, I'm gonna get both Vibhuti ji as well as Krishna ji. Welcome once again to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Varun ji.
All right. So as you can already see, almost the same set of people who were really. Here she is. Shnurji is also. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Like I said, last week we had a great session. We really got a lot of good comments, views, as well as opinions around certain topics. And किसके बारे में बात करें, किसके बारे में और ज़्यादा elaborate करें. तो even though I would start with the standard question to both the guests, but उसके बाद tonight, I really want to first get on their minds as well as to what's going on. So first of all, Vibhuti ji, आपसे शुरू करते हैं. Before we get into the discussion, before we get into those questions, what's that one thing on top of your mind which is going on based on the current scenario going on around us?
Namaste, everybody. Thank you very much for rejoining us today and continuing the series of this conversation. But I cannot help but comment, since we chose to talk about the fear factor. I was listening to the music and Sushant Singh's commitment that you guys have taken on this particular program, Varun. And I'm thinking about it. One of the biggest things about fear is either you fight or you take the flight. And I'm thinking about it from Sushant's perspective, is that he definitely was frightened of something. He chose to fight. If he had taken a flight, he may be alive today. I do not know. One of the things that they talk about fear is it is the cause why species survive, because they run. They take the flight instead of the fight. It's a very classic animalistic thing. So, I can go into the mind of Sushant right now. One of the things is that when you get into that emotion, fear is an emotion. It's an essential emotion of human life. And the fear of death, for example, is an emotion that you can't get away with. Fear of anything, public speaking. These are all there in us. How will this show go on today? I do not know. That can be a fear too. Ask a sportsman missing a penalty, or ask Roger Federer how he missed match point at 40-15 to Djokovic twice, once at US Open and once at Wimbledon. Think about it in these manner. The fear of failure, fear of things, is part of a human being's preparation. So what I want to talk about is, and I've already introduced the subject matter, but what I want to say to you is that, the famous saying goes, and I love that quote, that God says, I'm there, don't fear. I would say in the relaxed context, don't fear, relax is there. So, we have to work these things through many mechanisms, and we want to address that as an emotional, as a biological, as a chemical reaction that Krishnaji will tell you many chemical and biological terms, endorphin and all this kind of a thing that releases in the body and the brain and how the body begins to act. But this is where meditation, spirituality, relaxation can help calm things down to that extent. With this introduction, I will leave it over to Krishnaji to move forward.
Yes, absolutely. So the same question, Krishna ji, to you. I mean, you could always elaborate on what Vibhuti ji said, but what's that thing? I'm sure fear is definitely on top of your mind because that's going to be the topic. But other than that, or in addition to that, what else is going on, which is on top of your mind?
Well, today it is the fear factor. I mean, whole 2 years from Corona, it's like I had a trip going to India in March and I couldn't go, March 2020, mainly because of the fear factor. But today we will explore, is fear always bad? And that's what I tweeted today as well. Or is fear sometimes good? Sometimes it's good to fear things. And there is many terms like FOMO, fear of missing out. That's a common term many places, including stock market.
Yep.
But what we will do today, as we discuss, is how deep is the fear? What is the depth of fear? I mean, does it just in the brain? Do we carry it as a sanskar? And how deeply do you want to know your fear? Because I'll tell you a simple story. Recently, 11-year-old boy, he was playing tennis, and he was playing the last game, which is decider. They were 6-all or 7-all, and they kept going in the final. And I could see that he was nervous, he was shaking. And anyway, he won, but then he later on said to me, my legs were shaking, I couldn't control my body. And all this anxiety and fear that go together, can we control it when it comes to? I mean, the best part is that they were, in spite of that, he went through to the game to finish it. But is fear always in our control? And how do we gain that control over fear? So we will be discussing all these things going, the depth and the, how to deal with that as we go along.
Got it. Got it. No, absolutely. And like I said, fear किसी भी चीज की हो सकती है, जरूरी नहीं है. It's not about, I have a fear of losing everything. I have a fear of losing a family member. I have a fear of losing my, materialistic possessions. It could be anything. Or I could have a fear of, some people have that stage fright. कईयों को होता है, they cannot. It's not that everybody is born with that talent. And first time I also came on a platform like this, or started speaking, I radio is a totally different kind of space where you don't see people, you don't interact that way. But the moment it all became more visual, the fear of acceptance, the fear of, okay, whether people will abuse me, so the fear never ends is how I take it. Kisi na kisi cheez ka. Now with having some extended family and now small kids, now I have a fear of, about my kids as well, my friends as well. So your fear, though, I think is a very integral part of our life. Now, before we get into this, from the last time we promised everyone, there were certain questions which I had requested them to park. If you are both are okay, I would love to address those two questions at least, and then move on to our topic for today. Is that fine? Is that okay with you both?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfectly fine. Perfectly
Okay.
fine. Yeah.
Perfect. सो और ये इसका एक और रीजन भी है इस क्वेश्चन पूछने का, लाइक यू गाइस हैव डिस्कस्ड एंड यू हैव कम अप विद समथिंग लाइक अ फ्रीबी, and freebies are always welcome on any platform or on any channel. So let me just tell everybody, as part of tonight's session, this session as well, uh, anybody, they're gonna pick, I think, two people, whosoever asks some amazing questions. Of course, you all ask amazing questions, but they will pick the best two questions, and those two people will get. Either of you want to tell what are they going to get?
They will get 3 months free subscription to the Relaxx app. But as the saying goes, it is not a freebie. It is with a request. The request is, please use it and tell us how it affected you. What difference did it make? It didn't make. It is to your expectation or what? Give us the feedback. So we want you to use it because it is provided with a lot of areas which are not available for ordinary subscription, but we have a subscription rate to that. So you will have full access to the entire app. So best wishes to the best questioners. And in case Vibhuti Jha and Dr. Bhatt have a tie in questions, Varun Kapoor will decide the decider vote. So
Perfect.
आपको छोड़ेंगे नहीं साहब, आपको भी decision making में लगाएंगे.
Bilkul, bilkul. All right. So let me start with last week's questions. One was Ashnoor ji ne last week we पूछा था, uh, how to repel toxic energy other than or besides meditation. So I don't know whosoever wants to kind of address this.
Krishna ji,
So, when I was um, somewhere in my growth, there was a question asked, and it was not a trick question, but somebody drew a line, it's like 2 feet line, and said, "Can you make it shorter without touching it?" And maybe all of you know the answer. And the thing was that you draw a longer line. So draw a 3 feet line, the 2 feet line becomes shorter. So there is toxic energy, and this is a common thing. So for me, I use the term, my work inspires me, my colleagues inspires me, my patients inspire me. Does it mean there is no toxic colleague? Does it mean that toxic situations don't arise at work? Or does it mean that there is no patient that kind of doesn't hate me sometimes or doesn't like me, let's put it. So toxic situation is part of our life. And one way to counter, in my mind, is to have non-toxic, predominance around you. And then that toxic thing becomes a smaller. It doesn't go away. You cannot make it disappear. So that's my thought on it. And it's like in the world of theory of coexistence that I talked last time, that we coexist with good and bad and ugly. All of them coexist. Which ones we can pick? And most of us have a choice. Thank God, choice, free will, or whatever word we use is there. And sometimes you probably, if you don't have a choice, at least you have the choice of intermittent silence. That's the big power. Rather than try to bang your head against it, silence is a powerful tool as well. Vibhuti.
now let's take the next question so that, and we will keep the second question also, these two questions also part of the, award or the prize today.
Sure.
Yeah.
Even
Yes.
though the second question is by an ID who I don't kind of recognize, but SSE, we'll still put it. If you're around or you hear this, I'm taking your questions, and the ID is SSE. Does responsibilities that a person carry have an adverse effect on the way he or she reacts? How can we draw a line that enough is enough?
Oh, that's my favorite question. That's my favorite scenario. First of all, responsibility is to be honored and respected. We all have responsibilities at every stage of our life to every surrounding around us, whether as a student in sixth grade or a higher secondary student or a college student, we have responsibility to do well. When we get married, we have family, we have responsibility of another kind. When you are in the job, you have to do your best. So responsibility is something which comes is a part of an integral part of your life. You cannot do anything about it. The most important part is to be responsible for what you must do is the key element of success in life. And that's what will endear you to people. That people will tell you that you X is a responsible guy. Give him something to do and he will do his best. There is no question of not doing his best. That's important. The second part is, when do we draw enough is enough? And I draw my life lessons from Mahabharata and Ramayana a lot. And one of the things that I have drawn lesson from Ramayana, my topmost thing is draw a Lakshman Rekha around you. In every relationship, in every conduct, every behavior, with anyone, your boss, your superiors, your colleague, your wife, your child, draw a Lakshman Rekha. Take nothing for granted. Draw a Lakshman Rekha this far and no further. Once you begin to draw your line, people begin to respect your existence, your being. That इसके साथ इससे ज्यादा मजाक नहीं कर सकते, इससे इसके साथ इतना पंगा नहीं ले सकते. That's what is important. Which is why it is important is that we cannot have an in what you call extreme elasticity in ourselves. Your capacity to adjust cannot be so much that you get broken, that people begin to take you for granted. So you have to have, as a student of economics, I say, you have to have certain amount of elastic about you. You have to have that. And that's where you draw your Lakshman Rekha. So when you are fed up of enough is enough, you have reached that point that you are asking enough is enough. That means you have allowed the situation to go beyond the Lakshman Rekha, whatever that line was. And I take that cue also from Enter the Dragon, the movie, a hit movie of our era, in which Bruce Lee, the villain, is inviting one of the fellows to join his drug operation, and he says, "There is a line I won't go beyond." And that's the point which I'm trying to say, that we all have a personal line and we have our community line. That this is the line I won't let go beyond. I hope it is satisfactory.
Yep. Krishnaji, you want to elaborate or add something?
Yeah, I'll just take a um, this question, responsibility. You know, is it is he talking about boundaries, or is he talking about his responsibility becoming a burden, like taking too much on? I can't take any more on. That decision, of course, if that is what he's implying, then you have to draw the line yourself. You know how much you can handle, because you want to do things responsibly, and you can only do so much. You can't do, I mean, 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week. So how much commitment you want to make will be your decision. And yes, you have to draw a line, whether it is you are talking about boundary or whether you are talking about how much. And don't let responsibilities become burden. I mean, that's a conversation of how you take your responsibilities with yourself. Just take it as a joyful thing that is something you need to do. You need to, if you are a wife, and you are cooking, and you are a housewife, and you're taking care of kids, that's your responsibility. If I'm a father, I'm taking care of my kid, it's my responsibility, it's not a burden. So yeah, it's a conversation, and the boundaries, depending on what was meant by the question.
All right. No, I think SSK. I think that was the ID. SSE. Hope we are, Vibhuti ji and Krishna ji have been able to answer. Otherwise, feel free to ask questions, guys. But for the next few minutes, I think I would rather have them focus on the topic that is for today, which is fear, the fear factor. And I would love, either of you to kind of, give us more contextual kind of, information, or share with us what do you feel about fear, and what do you want us as people who go through this emotion on a daily basis to kind of handle our fear in what way.
Krishna ji, go ahead, please.
So I think the most important thing about fear is knowing your fear. And one of the areas in our app is about knowing yourself, knowing your thoughts, knowing your emotions, especially when you are in a fearful situation. Take that as an opportunity. And if you can, of course, if you have to run, you run. But if you can, then go inside yourself, find that fear and see what the origin is, see what the energy is, see how it is affecting your body or the mind and everything else. And that is an opportunity you have to take, because some place and someday, we all think that we know everything and it all comes natural. It doesn't come natural. It comes from, a long lineage of sanskar. And, you don't know what, if you're afraid of drowning, like I'll tell you a simple story which we have no proof or no connect. But I used to dream that I was falling off some sort of a big height structure. And that dream was very constant. It kind of regular dream, and it was very fearful at that time. And I go to one of the, like Cancun, and I go to one of those Chichen Itza pyramid. And in those days, we could climb up the pyramid. So I go up on top, look down, and I feel like this is what I have been dreaming. And I'm not saying, implying anything, but since then I have not had that dream. So somewhere inside you, you have to go and explore your fear, explore your emotions. And the more you know about your emotions and fear, the better you can handle it. And there is exercise in our app about how to know yourself. And then there is a next step that you create those situations and then drop it. So if there is an idea coming in your head, you drop it. In emotion coming, drop it. Fear coming, drop it. So there is a stepwise exercise given in that. And this is not meditation. This is working on your mind and working on your emotions. And that's one way you will know your fear, you will be able to overcome your fear, and you will be able to face those situations. Because sometimes it's not always in your control that you can just say, okay, go away. There is a lot of conditioning that has happened with your body and mind that's playing out as fear. So I'll stop here this time and we'll move on. Vibhuti ji.
Uh, you want me to say something about fear? I will put it this way to you, that who doesn't fear something or the other? We all have. Like I can fight a tiger, but I'm totally frightened of a snake. I can't take that. There is a rationale. When you begin to analyze that, there is a rationale. The rationale is, I can't know the mood of the snake. I can figure out the mood of a tiger or a lion. Where it's playful, is it hungry or not? The snake has no emotion. It virtually just does this. So for me, it is very difficult for me to figure out. I can't know the animal nature of the beast that I'm dealing with. So that's the factor that scares me. And Krishna ji gave a brilliant example of how that's an example of how your dream of tumbling down a top place was over the moment you climbed that particular pyramid, and it was over. It gives credence to the theory that if you want your dreams to come true, wake up. Then you have a classic scenario. You woke up and your dream has gone. It is no longer coming. The fear is of height is not coming to you. So I have, this. These are very personal issues, because each one of us has our own set of fears.
True.
Somebody loves to dive, and I get scared looking at the water below. And somebody will love to do skydiving, and people will say, do you have a death wish that you are doing skydiving? So these are all things which are remarkably strange, but the important part is you got to deal with it.
True.
And you got to deal with it by your eyes open and with a very emotional power, that I have the right, I have the power to let it go. This is so important that, sometimes we don't realize. We try to grab at things, but there is a special pleasure when you let something go. It's a very powerful, positive affirmation, the power of letting go. So,
True.
one thing which is important, why Krishnaji was talking to you about knowing yourself, and we have provided for that in the app, is that all the fear produces significant biological reactions in the body. It does, your breathing rate goes up, your pulse rate goes up, and all the 99 things happen in the body. Excitement comes up, rage comes into fight, or depression comes in. These are all related to a fear factor, the fear of failure, fear of, unknown. These will always happen. But the way you control that, or the way you let it go, is that you have the ability to go back into your own self, and you learn to relax. And relax, I'm not saying as RELAXX alone. I'm saying RELAX when you begin to relax, because you come to terms with something. That's what is important. And, the moment you begin to do that, you will realize there is no fear. For example, people fear death. I don't fear death. आना तो है, जब आएगा तो बिना इनवाइट किए ले जाएगा मुझे. जब तक नहीं आना है तो जो कुछ भी कर ले, जो कोई जाको रखे साइयां मार सके ना कोई, और जब टाइम आएगा तो चले जाएंगे. I don't fear death at all. In addition to the fact that I have seen a few deaths in my own family, near and dear ones, that I realize that, well, that's part of the karmic chuck. It will happen. So if you don't fear death, nothing will happen. The other part of death is also very important. Fear is that it's established rule, established testing done, that 90% of the things that we were frightened of, we're fearful of, they don't happen. This is a very interesting thing which you can do right now. Go back to things that you were very afraid of, you were fearful of. You will probably gain that, hey, it never happened. And if it happened, you knew exactly what to do with it. So why fear anything? It's a question of being prepared in the mind. And otherwise, it's like Krishnaji gave the example of an 11-year-old boy playing tennis. He didn't stop playing tennis because he was frightened or his leg was shaking. He still played on. That's the important part. You still are in the game.
So I'll, I would love. Okay, let me put it this way. I'm gonna make it a little bit more personal now. I'm gonna share some personal example from my life,
Mm.
which I've not shared till now, and I would love that perspective. The reason I'm bringing that up, or I'm gonna bring that up, is because this fear, I've tried multiple things, but this fear is still there. And I'm sure, just like me, there are many people who will be watching this, who will be listening, who are listening, who might have a fear. They might not want to talk about it, but they might be looking for some help. So after I've kind of told you what and all the details, I would love to know how this app, Relax app, can maybe be a good guiding factor or light for me. Now, nothing very personal, of course, that I'm sharing, but at the same time, I had a near death experience, a few years back, where uh, through a official kind of picnic trip. We went to Santa Cruz, and everybody was like super excited. They wanted to be on the kayaks, and I did not know swimming. I partly know swimming now, but I did not know swimming, and I kept on asking the people whether it was okay, and they said, yeah, you have a life jacket, nothing will happen, blah blah blah. And as destiny would have it, the kayak flipped, and both of us sitting in that kayak, both of us did not know swimming, and both did not know how this life jacket would work. So what kicks in at that point of time is sheer panic. That's it. It is just panic. Me holding onto the kayak with one hand and trying to go in and out, screaming at the top of my voice and whatnot. So all that kept on happening. Of course, eventually, I did not die because I'm sitting here, but eventually, we were rescued. And but those 10 minutes, what they did, they scarred me, I would say, for life, because now I have that additional fear of water. I have that additional fear of getting into a swimming pool, even if it's like a 5 footer. I would still have that kind of fear that I don't know. What if my feet slips? What if something happens? Uh, Even though it is a personal fear, and I don't show my personal fear to especially my kids, because I don't want them to be scarred as well. That just because my dad is not interested in going in the swimming or in the pool, or that they also don't. So I will definitely, next summer as well, they will be enrolled and all that stuff. But how do we come out of such a scary or a scarring life event, and still be motivational to others, that what, even though I screwed up, I would not want my kids to say kayaking is dangerous or going on a boat is dangerous and whatnot. Iske bare mein, how and what can you suggest?
Krishna ji, you want to go?
You go first, Vibhuti
Okay.
ji.
I will share with a similar example of drowning like you had. I was 6 or 7 years of age. Rishikesh ki Ganga mein, those of you who have been to Rishikesh, that is the
Wow.
first place where Ganga ji comes to the plains. So the current is very hot, very sharp, and the water is very cold.
Yeah.
So the Rishikesh Swami Shivanand ji ke, my father was follower of Swami Shivanand ji, and we had the darshan, and then we went to the ghat. You are not allowed to swim. You are only supposed to sit on the steps. Cut the story short, I drowned. I missed the steps, and I went into the water. And as luck would have it, we are having this chat. It was our destiny to have this conversation. So the both of us survived the drowning. But how I dealt with that?
Yeah.
That was something very amazing. हमने गंगा का इतना पानी पिया कि हमारे तो सारे पाप धुल चुके हैं for many years, I suppose. So my all sins are forgiven. So I took that from that positive. अगर हमने गंगा का इतना पानी पी लिया है तो कुछ तो हमारी शुद्धि हो गई यहाँ पे. The second one was I tried to overcome that fear of not knowing swimming. All right. But here was a very curious thing that happened. In Pune Club, in RSI, Army swimming pool, Pune Club swimming pool, Deccan Gymkhana swimming pool, I went to learn swimming. Each time I went, I got a hint. I used to fall ill very badly. 3-4 days of into swimming, I used to fall ill very badly. But I never got frightened of the water. I said it is a sign. I stopped going to the pool. I don't swim anymore. But I'm not scared of the 5 foot. I think I always catch hold of the bar and flip my legs. But I'm no longer frightened, never been frightened. I didn't allow that fear to come to me. And that's what I would urge you, Varun, is that don't fear the water. That's a part. You are doing things, the best of swimmers die in a swimming pool, right?
Yeah.
The best of divers die in a diving accident. Best of skiers break their neck and die in the skiing. So maybe that destiny has saved you. So that is the point. I would apply my example, and I would say, don't fear water. Don't have a fear of drowning. Don't force yourself to learn something that makes you uncomfortable. That's a very important lesson, because we can't be good at everything. We can't beat everything. Something will beat us. So if
Absolutely.
that is a sign you are getting, then just stay out of that
I agree.
and abandon that. Let it go. That is the power of letting go. I let go of the swimming pool, the pleasures of the pool, because I knew it was not for me. That's the way I had my realization.
Got it. Got it. कृष्णा जी आप क्या कहेंगे?
No, I mean, both of you have survived the drowning episodes. That's amazing. Of course, we all have had some stories in our lives where, it's like you can see my scars. I went through the windshield and,
Wow.
survived. I was not driving, but but I didn't have seatbelt in those days. It's like in England. The point is, somewhere, it's you have to condition your mind. You have to train your mind to accept it, like Vibhuti is saying, and the willpower of not having that. But there is another approach of going inside you and exploring that fear. It is possible to do that. And I was talking earlier to Vibhuti that I call meditation the real meditation, not the guided meditation. There's nothing wrong with that, but guided meditation takes you to a wonderful place and brings you back. It's a very controlled situation. But when you go diving in the inner universe, it is an adventure because it can be very fearful place. And many times, you return back because it's the, like you said, near death experience. It is real death. You have to kind of die to get into the deeper layers of meditation. And there, this fear comes. But you can, dive in yourself inside in one of the meditations on the app. You said, how can the app help? Whether it is chakra meditation or whether it is humming meditation. And deep down, you will find that fear. And the, the moment the focus goes, the moment the attention goes, the moment you get familiar with it, it's a rule of nature that, things just disappear or, like get easier to handle. So that's my suggestion. Of course, you can use your power of willpower, but also, knowing it better can kind of help you transcend it.
Got it.
And to add to that, since I connect with your fear of water and everything, look, we don't have to know everything. It's not that we can't learn things. We learn incredible things. Somebody learns tennis, somebody learns basketball, somebody learns baseball. So we can't regret कि हमें वो भी करना है, ये भी करना है, and you are nowhere. So if you get a hint like this, like for example, I tried skiing, and I'm such an earth person that I just could not stand on the ski because I realized I don't like the feeling of earth slipping under my ground. It's very simple. I love to ride the motorcycle at 90 kilometers in India. I have done it. Uh, we drive the car as fast as I can whenever I can. No cops catching me. But skiing, oh my God, I just don't like the feeling of the ground slipping under my feet. It's a pure, simple personal feeling. So I said, no, I'm not going to do skiing. But I go to the mountain slopes, I take different rides, and I love mountains, but I don't do ski. So,
Right.
we have to make adjustment in our life. All the time we have to remember that we don't need to know everything. And there will be a clear sign for something that coming to you. Admire that sign, acknowledge that sign, and let it go. It's very powerful.
Great. I'm going to take some of the comments as well. Sonal is saying some sort of fear may be good. The fight or flight, it's inherent in human beings. In olden times, that is what saved them from wild animals and such. And a question here, Soheli ji ka, what are the positives of fear? Don't you think it's a very crucial feeling? How would our lives look without the very existence of fear? Incomplete, I believe.
I love both of them, but I love Sonal's comment and I love Sohail because that's how I started. That's what I put in my tweet today.
Yeah.
that is all fear bad? I mean, we always say fear is bad, and it's like sadness is bad and joy is, happiness is good. um, no, there is a lot of positive things about fear. I mean, we should be fearful of something, and that's what protects us, and that's what makes us successful. If you go to play tennis and you say, oh, I'm not fearful, I'm going to win, good luck to you. I mean, so you have to, the fear makes you practice more. You
Yeah.
know, you the fear makes you, get up and go and practice 3 hours or 4 hours of whatever you want to do. The fear of stage, you practice so much that even if there is fear, when you go on the stage, you come out good. I mean, even big actors, the famous actors, they say, every time I go on stage, I'm fearful. So fear is not always bad. I totally agree with Sonal and the comment Shohel, is saying.
Soheli ji, yeah.
Soheli ji.
Shoheli, sorry.
My take is also remarkable. Is that fear is not anything bad. It's only telling you to accept the outcomes of the failure or the success. You, like Krishna ji gave the example of tennis, for example. You look at the life story of every sportsman. They have missed winning shots. How many soccer players, the best of soccer players, have missed penalty shots, right? While they have scored goals from incredible angles. That's what life is all about, is to accept the outcome and don't take it personal. It's pure business. That's very important to remember, that when you are competing with people around you, there is always someone who will perform better. Not all days are the same. Not all days are the same. And at the same time, not every performance is the same. And it always will vary. The question is, did I do my best on that given occasion? That's the question that we have to always answer. Was that enough? It's like saying that you need one goal to win a football match. But if you're down by one, you have to score two to win.
Yeah.
So, that's what is important to remember in mind. So, if you play the game, the requirements of the game, your life is a game. So if you play the game, perfectly fine. And absolutely agree with Soheli that, if the life doesn't have fear, then its fun goes away. And one of the reasons for fear is, to use another word, concern, is that we all as human beings have fear of failure. And it's natural. Remember to understand that it's not the end of the world, because you can always go back to it and take it up and move on. That's the most important part, is that you don't win all matches. Michael Jordan did not have easy passes to 6 basketball victories, championship. They were all tough matches. So you have to remember that life doesn't come easy. Whether we are prepared to deal with that is the key issue in this matter. And I love fear. I'm not frightened. I love to, whenever there is a moment of that kind, I use my inner strength of smiling at it. Okay, what's the worst that can happen? I'll lose. Big deal. I'll go back again.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. This is the thing which I smile a lot. My mother used to say he can't keep his mouth shut, so he smiles. So that's what that's where I have drawn my inspiration. That smiling at adversary is one of your biggest ways to conquer the adversary. That's what is important.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and that's why I think there is a saying, "Life is a teacher," because end of the day, we learn every day, and life teaches us so many lessons, and fear is a very integral part of our thought. Uh, you know, First thing, Rachna is also here. आपने last time भी बोला था, make sure you're there next time. So she is here, but वो कह रही है कि हिंदी में भी बात करें, तो yes, हिंदी में भी बात करेंगे हम रचना. And तो अब थोड़ा सा how like I wanted to kind of go to the app. कैसे इस ऐप के थ्रू somebody like me, somebody like Soheli ji or Sonal or anybody can kind of tune or retune our brain and get rid of this fear, or not even get rid, but attune ourselves. Okay, this is part of it, and we have to move forward. how do we use this app to do that?
So, Varunji, I mean, one thing I always say, it's like, do you need to change? And the answer for me is no. I mean, there is nothing, no reason to change. But do you want to get better? That answer is yes. So in life, I mean, whether it is, how to handle fear, or how to, handle adversity, or how to handle stress, उस सब के बारे में यदि सोचना है, तो we have a pathway in the app. And one of the pathway, of course, is knowing yourself. And the other, important pathway is silence. Silence is the language of the inner universe. तो वो important बात हो जाती है. So there is a lot of work on, this intermittent silence as a concept. And then there is a fair amount of music, nature music and soothing music, and then we have the meditation, and then we have some healing, areas, healing music as well, healing chakras, that kind of thing. And even महामृत्युंजय मंत्र भी है उसमें, रोग निवारण मंत्र है, माने. So it is a quite a wide spectrum, और जिसको जहाँ जरूरत होती है उस हिसाब से वो जा सकते हैं. हिंदी में बोलने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं तो रचना जी का.
Right, right.
लेकिन जहां तक लाइफ की बात आपने कही, आई लव टू से लाइफ इज एन एडवेंचर. उस एडवेंचर में फियर भी है, उस एडवेंचर में सक्सेस भी है, उसी एडवेंचर में सब कुछ मने रास्ते में उथल पुथल थोड़ा बहुत तो होता ही.
Yep, yep. लाइफ का आई नो दैट्स हाउ वो एक किसी जमाने में ये चलता था कि जो ईईजी होती है वो तभी तो ऊपर नीचे है. अगर वो ऐसे नहीं होगी तो द लाइफ इज डन. आई मीन दैट्स हाउ इट इज, राइट. और दूसरी बात रही जहां तक आपने बात करी, राइट. आई मीन आई रिमेम्बर किसी ने ये बात की थी, आई थिंक लास्ट सेशन पे, या शायद मेरी बात हुई थी इस बारे में कि ये जो ऐप है, कोई भी ऐप बनाते हैं, आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट जस्ट द रिलैक्स, ये आधी से ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन, जो मेडिटेशन, जो स्पिरिचुअल वेलबीइंग, ये तो सब यूट्यूब पे भी होता है. तो व्हाई डू आई यूज एन ऐप? और मैंने जो जवाब दिया था मैं आपको बता देता हूँ पहले, उसके बाद आई वुड लव योर पर्सपेक्टिव एज वेल. कि यूट्यूब पे ऑब्वियसली यू नीड टू नो व्हाट यू आर सर्चिंग फर्स्ट. सेकेंडली, जो यूट्यूब पे पड़ा है वो है बहुत डिफरेंट डिफरेंट प्रॉब्लम्स हैव अ डिफरेंट सोल्यूशन. So वहां पर you first need to understand what your problem is, what you're looking for, and then you can find the right thing. Versus an app, यहाँ पर it's kind of curated in a way that what, you do this and you will achieve this, or you do this and this is how you might feel. So it's all kind of curated version of the same content, and sometimes जैसे कहते हैं ना, वन स्टॉप शॉप की तरह, कि दिस इज एन ऐप इज लाइक अ वन स्टॉप शॉप. यू गो देयर, कि mindset gets attuned. There is a concept in electric cars that if you're going to the electric charger or like a supercharger, then you tell the car that what, I am going to go to the supercharger. So it starts kind of doing something to the battery to get it prepared for the supercharger. सेम थिंग विद एन ऐप. एंड के ऐप में आपको पता है कि ये मेरा टाइम है, घंटा दिया, 15 मिनट दिया, वट एवर टाइम यू कैन एलोकेट. उस टाइम में आपको पता है कि मैंने इस ऐप में जाना है, मैंने इस जगह पर इतना ये करके बाहर आना है. सो इट्स अ वेरी फोकस्ड. बट आई लव टू नो आप लोगों का परसेप्शन क्या है, व्हाई somebody should go to this app and do certain things versus do it outside.
I'll put it this way. I have been a perpetual learner, and रचना जी बोल रही थी हिंदी में बोलने के लिए, तो रचना जी आपको जान के प्रसन्नता होगी कि हमने अंग्रेजी भी हिंदी माध्यम में ही सीखी है. बिहार में पढ़ते थे तो 12वीं क्लास तक अंग्रेजी माध्यम में हमने अंग्रेजी हिंदी माध्यम में सीखी है. तो ये आपको जान के खुशी होगी, मुझे अच्छा लगता है हिंदी बोलना. लेकिन क्या होता है कि जिंदगी से बाहर बहुत रहे हैं, और चूंकि बाहर रहने का मतलब होता है कि सब अंग्रेजी में ही बात होती थी, तो एक स्मूथनेस आ गई अंग्रेजी में भी, हिंदी भूले नहीं. बट जो आप कह रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छी बात कही आपने कि ये ऐप से क्या होता है. हमने जिंदगी में सिर्फ स्टेप बाय स्टेप सीखना, लर्निंग का मैं बहुत अच्छा स्टूडेंट हूँ. और आज भी मैं लर्निंग के लिए जाता हूँ, EDX में जाता हूँ, और वहाँ पे हमने ब्लॉकचेन सीखा, क्रिप्टो सीखा, बिटकॉइन के बारे में पढ़ा। इसलिए पढ़ा क्योंकि मैं उसकी भाषा समझना चाहता था। बैंकर तो मैं भी हूँ, सारी बैंकिंग की है, उसमें क्या, उसमें डिफरेंट क्या है। तो व्हाट आई लर्नड इज दैट ये जो है टेक्नोलॉजी का बहुत बड़ा नमूना है हमारे पास आज, कि हम आज एक्सेस कुछ भी कर सकते हैं इस फोन के थ्रू। दुनिया सारी खुल जाती है हमारी आंखों के सामने। बट जैसे वरुण जी ने कहा कि जानना भी तो पड़ेगा ना कि क्या क्या है। तो इसमें हमने ये कोशिश की है कि आपके लिए, अगर आपको अपना अपना अपनी समस्या अगर आपको पता चल गई, तो उसका निदान भी वहां है। वो अगर वो 100% है, 50% है, ये आप ही जान सकती हैं, या जो देखने वाला है वो जान सकता है। सो बट ये टूल है अवेलेबल, और उसके लिए ये आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से एक्सप्लेन किया था वरुण जी। और मैं यही कहूंगा कि इस टूल को यूज करिए। अनफॉर्चुनेटली और फॉर्चुनेटली, एज आई हैव शेयर्ड विद कृष्णा जी बिफोर, ये जो आइटम है, स्पिरिचुअल क्लीनिंग, रिलैक्सिंग एंड मेंटल रेस्ट, फिजिकली तो हमने अपने आप को हमेशा रेस्ट दिया है। सो जाते हैं, लेट जाते हैं, कुर्सी पे पाँव रख दिया, मसाज करवा लिया। When was the last time any one of us gave our mind and internal body a massage? Think about it from that point of view. So, what we have brought to you in this app is tools and exercises to give your mind a rest, cleaning up the plate, as I always say.
Yeah.
That's what is important. So, use the app from that perspective. Don't go by much fanfare, use the basics. And that's critical for you to do that, and use the fear. हर को अपना डर होता है. I don't want to harp on it again and again. But the moment you begin to gain spiritual power within yourself, when your mind, body, and your flame inside is in sync with each other, you will find that many of your worries, you can literally smile away from there. It just stays there for a fraction of a second. It just goes away. And we will be upset. Look, I'm not saying that I'm always contented, happy, and, epitome of all glory. No, I have my failings. It doesn't change anything, but you come to terms with it much faster than otherwise. So I would say go to the app, figure it out, download. It is a non-essential essential, or a very essential non-essential. Well, I have a theory about that. People, the present value of comfort and entertainment far outweighs any potential future gain. That's why people are not able to come out of their comfort zone. चलो आज सो लेते हैं 1 घंटा ज्यादा, एक्सरसाइज बाद में करेंगे. That's something which is lethal for all of us. That discipline is required. That line is required. कि come hell or high water, I'm going to do this. Then you begin to become successful. And this app is directed towards that. So महामृत्युंजय मंत्र का भी वहां पे हमने प्रयोग किया है. Every Hindu knows about महामृत्युंजय जप, but हमने वहां क्यों किया? आप जाके देखें. मैं आपसे निवेदन करता हूं, आप जाके देखें कि उसका असर क्या होता है आप पे. Then you will realize the importance of that. मंत्रोच्चारण की बात अलग है, उसको अपनाना है ना. कहते हैं कि ओम भूर्भुवस्वः, गायत्री मंत्र का पाठ विच सही तरीके से हो तो उसका असर ज्यादा होता है. वेरी सिंपल एग्जांपल, माइकल जॉर्डन. He had a very high percentage of free throws. In his book Air, he wrote he used to practice 1,000 free throws every day. And what was the bottom line of that cutting point of that statement? I have to practice it right. If I do 1,000 wrong practice, then I'm getting into a wrong practice. So with that, you have to remember. So this is a tool for you to practice. You can always come to us and ask any question on that.
Perfect. On a lighter note, even though हिंदी की बात तो उन्होंने की थी, वो खुद ही कह रही हैं कि आपने अभी मेरी हिंदी सुनी नहीं है. And I can tell you that's why I was laughing when I read that message. कि this is coming from someone who, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, हिंदी की भी टांग टूंग तोड़ने वाले लोग, उन्होंने रिक्वेस्ट किया. बट I understand her intention why she was asking, क्योंकि बहुत सारे ऐसे लोग हैं जो हिंदी में सुनना भी चाहते हैं. but but that was on a lighter note. But इनका भी क्वेश्चन है, पर इंग्लिश में इन्होंने पूछा है, हिंदी में भी अभी नहीं पूछा. Why we usually so fearful about others? What others think of us? तो
Krishna
बाकी
ji,
लोग क्या सोचेंगे हमारे
I,
बारे
I,
में?
I love this question, but Krishna ji will say
Yeah.
first.
So, Varun ji, I mean, I would love to talk in Bhojpuri.
आपके आपके आप किसी भी लैंग्वेज में बात करें, पर उससे पहले मैं सिर्फ रचना को इस क्वेश्चन के लिए सिर्फ इतना कहूंगा कि अब अगर ये भी हम ही सोचेंगे तो फिर वो क्या सोचेंगे,
थोड़ा बहुत तो जरूरी है, रचना जी जो
हाँ.
बोल रही है, थोड़ा बहुत
और
तो
आप
जरूरी
कोई भी
है.
लैंग्वेज यूज करें, भोजपुरी में आ जाए आप, कोई नहीं.
I mean, we were talking like before we started this. Is the lighting right? I mean, Vibhuti ji, or is our lighting right? What are we trying to do? We want to project our best. And थोड़ा बहुत fear कि हाँ भाई लोग क्या सोचेंगे. If we don't project ourselves right, we don't use the right language, तो क्या सोचेंगे. थोड़ा बहुत तो जरूरी है, but it should not become a बाधा. It should not become a hindrance in one's life, and it should not become an obsession. But yeah, I mean, makeup karna and all those things that my wife does and everyone else does to look good is basically, there is a little innate thing, if I don't do it, how will I look? But some of it is normal, but sometimes any normal thing can become excess. And there you have to draw your boundaries, or Lakshman Rekha, or red line, whatever you say. But I don't think it's totally out of line to feel that way. That way you can present your best.
Right. You're mute, Vibhuti ji. You're mute. You're mute.
I have a take on it for the simple reason that there is one particular example of when I was a kid. My grandfather's best friend was one Mr. Pandey. He was an ICS officer in Patna in Bihar. He was blacker than a black. Pandey, blacker than a black. Unbelievable story my grandfather told him. Apparently, in the ICS interview, he was asked this trick question that, Mr. Pandey, how can your wife tolerate you? You are so black and ugly. And apparently, he replied by saying, who cares for what you think? My wife loves me, and that's all matters to me. Do you think I care for what you think about me? That is a thing which is stuck in my mind. That was a wonderful learning that I had at that moment. That because we are all different. Two brothers, one looks good, other doesn't look as good. There is sibling rivalry on that. But we have a very innate human tendency to seek validation and approval. Am I doing the right thing? We always ask other people, "Main theek kar raha hu na? Am I doing the right thing? If that was okay or not?" There comes a point in time that you have to stop worrying about it. You have to be concerned about it. You have to be aware about it.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows how you do or what you are capable of better than you. When you bought a shirt, a dress that you bought, you wore, you knew exactly what it will look like. Your intent is to impress others. And that's why you are worried about others' opinion.
Correct.
That's what is important. So if you do not worry about impressing others, and if you're happy with your own self, deep inside your own body, your beauty, your persona, your being, then all colors look good. You don't need anybody's validation. That, incidentally, in my political programs, I always say that this is the bane of India. We always seek validation. लोग क्या कहेंगे? बट और आनंद का गाना भी तो है, लोगों का काम है कहना. इग्नोर करो ना उस बात को फिर. So why bother about it? So thank you.
पर यहाँ पर just again on a lighter note, does this also apply to wives as well? क्योंकि उनकी तो सुननी पड़ती है सर, क्या करें, उनकी अप्रूवल तो लेनी पड़ती है बहुत चीजों में.
At this point, I will not go into the husband-wife scenario because wives will complain that husbands are idiots. So what are we going to do about that? So
Right.
whenever my wife tells me you are an idiot, I said thank you very much. Who else would have married me otherwise? So
So,
you have
Vibhuti,
to appreciate.
on that note, I want to share one story because this was a, eye opener for me, from not from meditation point of view, but from how you think of yourself. And it was in my early days at Mass General. When I was there, I was going to give it, my first or second presentation in a podium session, and I was obviously nervous. My mentor just told me one line: Krishna, you should know that nobody in the world knows more about this topic than you, because that was my invention. And that one line changed my whole perspective. So sometimes we don't think of ourselves what value we have and what value we bring on this stage. And that's an important factor of how we project ourselves. So you're right. Some of us Indians, when I came first time out of India, that validation was always, it's like, am I doing it right?
Yeah.
No, that was there, but it took some time, and of course an opening up that helped, break out of that thing.
Great, great. I want to be mindful of the time as well, but again, pata nahi aaj, I think talking to you guys, I'm getting, yeah, it could be Rachna. यहाँ पर सिर्फ मैं इतना ही कहूंगा, again on a very lighter note, there's a very thin line between confidence and overconfidence slash stupidity. So I think we should definitely keep that balance जब भी कुछ ऐसा होता है, because the reason I'm calling it uh, overconfidence or stupidity is because, again, if I have to relate from a personal experience, during college days, वो होते हैं ना, जैसे, I was a little more, क्या बोले, not arrogant, but yes, a little overconfident, and whatever I could do, I was the best and all that stuff. And there were times when एग्जाम से पहले कुछ चीज मैं रट के आता था, और जिस तरह से रट लिया वो रट लिया, उसके बाद तो फिर मैं अपने आप की भी नहीं सुनता, तो कई बार मैं ऐसे होता था, आई वुड रटोफाई द रॉन्ग वे, लाइक द माइकल जॉर्डन एग्जांपल विभूति जी वाज गिविंग, कि गलत चीज को मैंने रट लिया, और बड़े कॉन्फिडेंस से, ओवर कॉन्फिडेंस से लोगों के सामने डिस्कशन भी कर रहा हूँ ऑन अ प्लेटफॉर्म एंड ऑल दैट स्टफ, कि नो, दिस इज व्हाट इट इज, और अड़ जाना, दैट I am right because I feel it is right. And then later on, जब ऑफलाइन देखो कि ओ यार ये मैं क्या कराया, उसके बाद भी कॉन्फिडेंस से उसको कवर अप भी करना was another trait. But this is one lesson that I've learned, that it's always good to listen to people, always keep your mind and your ears open, but and at that time, maybe your mouth shut, but soak it, observe it, uske baad evaluate, analyze it, and then act according to that. So I think uh, through this app as well, जैसे मैं बात कर रहा था, through the Relaxx app as well, I'm really looking forward, to everyone who's watching, who will watch later as well. Try it out. That's very important that you try something which is going to be good for you. और जैसे विभूति जी ने एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जांपल दिया था कि बॉडी मसाज के लिए तो आप चले जाते हो, फीट मसाज के लिए भी आप चले जाओगे, ब्रेन मसाज के लिए कहाँ जाओगे, एंड देयर इज नो लाइक जिपर कि जिप खोला, ब्रेन निकाला एंड दूसरा ब्रेन डाल दिया विच इज फ्रेश और चार्ज्ड. दैट्स नॉट गोना हैपन. So you really need to do certain things, and this app, I think, will definitely give that overview of how you can freshen up your brain, your thoughts, your inner self, and connect to that kind of level जहां पर आपको that fog, or that वो जो धुंध जिसे कहते हैं, वो क्लियर होती जाएगी. And it could be very helpful, so on a personal level. So हेली जी यहाँ पर एक comment लिखा था उन्होंने. Let me just read that. Since the last session, after the discussion, to give our mind a rest, I have been trying to do so. God, it's so difficult, making me more conscious, and my mind gets flooded with different thoughts. So, I will keep this as the last kind of point, and uske baad, maybe I think one of the contenders for that app would be Soheli ji based on what she's saying. But I'll leave it up to you. What do you guys want to say to her?
So Heli ji, that is a very good point, because in the beginning, this silence is uncomfortable silence because you're not used to it. But if you stick with it, it just becomes amazing. And this intermittent silence or the meditation part, it's it becomes addictive once you start getting the energy and once the new gates start opening up. But yes, you are right. In the beginning, it can be an uncomfortable silence, and you have to get past that. Um, that's a little bit of, you know, stepping stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Suhailiji, what I wanted to say was that it takes time. And what you experienced is that you are trying. And that was great because overwhelmed ho raha tha aapko, because you were not used to the practice of how to give mind a rest. And therefore, it is extremely critical to get into the mode. When you go for gym, actually, when you go start your gym, you have realized that your muscles hurt in the beginning, right? Until they fine tune and they become part of the drill. So, what you are doing is a good start, which means that you gave it a good try. And now keep the try going on. It's simple, it's remarkably simple. I'm an example of that because it is easy to give your mind a rest. It's so remarkably easy. And you have the tool available and try it. Definitely try it. And I can tell you a couple of other things. We will talk about it as we go along, but enough for the day.
Perfect. Perfect. Again, I don't know, maybe something has bit me, but another lighter note पे आपने जो बोला, exercise वाला, मेरे तो muscles अभी भी दर्द होते हैं सर, मैं क्या करूं? It's not about, I don't know why they're not getting attuned to the exercises.
Because you do it once in a way.
Right. So sorry, I think I'm on a totally different level. Yeah, Krishna ji, आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे, please?
No, I think I like that Sonal saying that I call meditation my 10-minute vacation. That 10-minute can become, an hour and longer, because, yeah, it has its own vibrations. It has its own, it's like energy. Once you get into that, it's like I say, meditation is conserving and creating energy,
Yes.
nothing to do with mind.
Right, right, right. Absolutely. All right. Like I said, want to be mindful of the time. What do you guys feel around this? The questions, the comments by Soheli ji, by Sonal, by Rachna, Dheeraj, everybody, Padmaja. I think everybody. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Who do you want? Of course, I'm also a contender now because at least I made everyone laugh today. So
Now, to all the viewers, what we want to do is that, so that you experience, it's not just about talk. We want to walk the talk as well. So what we decided as we, in Jaipur Dialogue, we developed that practice on the annual presentation is the top two questions will get a recognition. The
great.
top two questions, all questions are great questions. So in the reference to the context of this particular show, it is tough to choose one or two. So what I would say is that I think the question about, can you just run one or two of them, please?
Sure. So if I have to go back, one of the comments was Sonal success is like a carrot grown, and I hope I can scroll back. Okay, Rachna, why are we usually so fearful about others thinking? Hindi wala to nahi hai question. What are the positives of fear? Don't you think it's a very crucial feeling? Then we had, yeah, I hope I can scroll all the way.
I would my two votes I will choose one, and Krishna ji can choose, or I will choose two, and you agree or disagree. Then
Yeah,
I would go for Rachna ji's question because this is very relevant. Because we always seek validation from others, and that creates maximum stress on us.
Okay.
This is a very important question that लोगों का काम है कहना. You be yourself. That's what we were talking about also. Krishna ji mentioned that in our app we are talking about go figure out yourself, know yourself. Once you have known yourself, then you have taken care of a lot of stress. So I will put Rashna ji as one of the receivers of the coupon for 3-month trial of Relaxx app.
Very nice. Congratulations, Rachna.
Thank you, Rashna ji, very well.
All right. And
You're going to do the second one.
No. आप choose करिए second one, not a problem.
I mean, Sonal and Shoheli both had wonderful questions, but I think Sonal was the one who asked the question first, I think, about fear.
okay.
And I think that was that will be my I mean, recommendation.
Great.
Perfect. Okay. So Sonal and Rachna, I will share the code. So the good thing is, oh, so Haley asked. That's what Sonal is saying. So Haley asked first, but I'll leave it up to you. So at this point of time, the good thing is I know both of them. I have contacts, so I can share the code easily. And if ever we give
I
another
don't
one,
do, I will send you another code. So we'll
perfect,
let's make it 3 then.
perfect. All right. So Soheli ji, आप भी हैं. So I will send it to 3 of you. Congratulations. The only request, like Vibhuti ji ने शुरुआत में कही थी, this is not a freebie. Uh, for 3 months, you are getting this full access to the app, but with a promise that you will uh, provide some kind of the not only just a feedback but also how you felt using it, what were the good, the bad, and the ugly things that you can share. Of course we can do it in any platform, like chahe live pe kare, yeah, we could take it offline as well. You know how to connect with either of us. And today I've also been connected with Krishna ji as well on Twitter. So you guys should also connect with, if you're already not connected with, Vibhuti ji and Krishna ji. So great that we are able to do this. I know a lot of people are appreciating the sessions, these talks, and I'm very confident and very very sure that very soon a lot of good feedback is going to come around this Relaxx app. एक बार मैं फिर बता देता हूँ, on Google Play Store as well as Apple Store. Just need to look for Relaxx, Relaxx, and you will be able to find the Relaxx app. Download it, use it. There are certain features available. And then, if you feel there is something that should be added, removed, updated, please provide the feedback directly there. Or you could always reach out to us in these sessions as well. So, before I end tonight's session, last point, anything that you want to say, Krishna ji, and then we'll end it with Vibhuti ji.
Yeah, I have only one thing to say. Start doing it, start taking action.
I have only one request to make, everybody, that you are seeing a living example. I started doing meditation 40 years ago, and this is one of the ways to give yourself a rest, a mind rest, create more energy. Krishna ji referred to that. Energy follows attention, and these are all functions of mind, body, and soul. So life is not about time management. It's 24/7 for equal for everybody. No difference. The successful people are the ones who are able to manage their energy better. And that's what is critical, is because that's what you manage. That's up to you. Your energy is all about you. Time is constant for everyone. From Raja to Rank, from Padri to Prime Ministers, from Pandit to Shankaracharya, everybody has the same 24/7. So if you want to make that successful, you have to manage your energy. And that's where you have to let go of things, because you can't do everything in the same 24/7. So energy is key. Use the app. Try it. Thank you.
Right. Before I end, I'm unfortunately I missed this question, and Kanchanji is asking if you can please put this question across. इन्होंने पहले हिंदी में भी शायद लिखा था, मैं वो भी पढ़ूंगा, पर पहले मैं ये पढ़ता हूँ. इंट्यूशन में पहले से किसी घटना के होने का आभास हो जाना कैसे रिलेट करता है फ्यूचर में होने वाली घटना का। एंड द अदर हिंदी में इन्होंने लिखा था अंतर मन
वही
में
सवाल है, वही
पहले
है।
से।
अंतर्मन में पहले से किसी घटना के होने का आभास होना ये कैसे रिलेट करता है फ्यूचर में होने वाले सिचुएशन का।
या
मैं हिंदी पढ़ सकता हूँ। आई गेव द प्रूफ ऑफ इट। कृष्णा जी, इस पे बोलिए आप।
I think we should table this for next time because I
परफेक्ट।
think we are, yeah, we are coming back, aren't we, Varun ji?
Yes, absolutely. We can definitely take it in the next one,
Yeah.
for sure. I think the same format that we did today.
यस।
Yeah.
Uh, it can so Kanchanji, we will start our show, the next one, with your question next week. So we are not gonna forget, and anybody else also, please keep your questions ready. Before I end this session, I'll leave you guys with one quote, because based on these sessions, even maybe spiritual upliftment ho rahi hai on every single week, and otherwise also during the week also I'm now kind of following some of the guidelines and principles being shared here. But the quote that I read was, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. So this is that beginning where we have to start now, so that the end jo hai hamara wo ek acha rahe. So on that note, thank you so much everyone for joining and tuning in. We'll continue this conversation. Don't forget, relax, RELAXX app, and also relax otherwise as well. Like Vibhuti ji said, dono relax bahut important hai life ke liye. Try the app, give us the feedback, and relax otherwise, to have a very fantastic week ahead and a weekend. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday with both of them, and we'll continue this conversation. Thank you so much. Take care. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and
जय
namaskar,
भारत।
everyone. Bye
थैंक
now.
यू, थैंक यू, थैंक यू एवरीवन।